What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout spot where you already know it's real talk, boxing talk, live from my man cave. It's your boy Johnny, and I am your host for another edition of the Hangout Spot Live. This time, the Tuesday night edition, and we have one hell of an episode for you, man. We have the legend, Hall of Famer, Christy Martin in the house. She is here live and direct. She's going to be visiting me at the Hangout spot, and we're going to have a great conversation. And for those that don't know who Christy Martin is, you better Google her right now, man, because she's one of the greatest of all time. You know, not just in women boxing, but in boxing in general. She was one of the original women fighters, pioneers. You know, she's one of the biggest reasons why women's boxing is where it is today. So we're going to get her in just a little bit. But first and foremost, I just want to give a shout out to the 2024 national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes, baby. Because if you were not watching, that's right, we went on a historic run, 4 wins, the first year that the college football playoffs went to a 12-team bracket, and we are the first national champions to ever do it in that inaugural year, which is crazy because our last national championship was 10 years ago, and that was the first year that college football went to a playoff bracket, and that was with 4 teams. So we won that one, the first ever college playoff, and now we win the first 12-team college playoff with the bracket. So shout out to my Buckeyes, and I just want to give another shout out to the Michigan Wolverines, because if it wasn't for that loss, I don't know if we would have been called champions today, man. After that loss, a loss that we had no business losing, you know, this team, they took off. You know, we took off on a historic run. So for all you Michigan fans and for you Michigan haters, congratulations. Thank you. You won last year, but you kept the title warm for us. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. Now it's coming back to the rightful owners, the true beasts of the Big Ten, the Buckeyes, the Ohio State Buckeyes. So shout out to them. But anyhow, you know the deal here. There's rules in the Hangout spot. Before I bring my guests in, if you are watching this live on YouTube or on Facebook, we're actually streaming this on Facebook Live as well. Make sure you smash that like button, as it will help with the visibility of the channel. You know the deal. We are trying to get this channel out into the algorithm of other boxing fans so that they know we are rocking out every Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. And if you have not subscribed, don't know what you're waiting for. Make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend. 2025, if we want to keep this train rolling, we're going to need more and more passengers. So if you have not subscribed, make sure you do that. And last but not least, you know the deal. The chat is open. But without further ado, like I said, I want to bring in my guest, and I'm a big fan of hers. You know, not just from what she did inside of the ring, but she's also an amazing lady outside of the ring, doing a lot of things in the world of boxing. She's the first female boxer to be inducted into the Nevada Hall of Fame in 2016, and she is a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. She was inducted in 2020. And without further ado, I want to bring in my guest, boxing legend, Miss Christy Martin. Welcome to the Hangout spot.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here with you tonight. And as we mentioned earlier, yay for the Ohio State Buckeyes. You know, my little nephew, he's all jacked up and excited, and still being very happy today.
I tell you, man, it was crazy. I had to hold myself back because I wanted to scream and yell, but I knew I had this interview and I didn't want to be hoarse, right? Because it's not every day that you get an opportunity to chop it up with a true icon of the sport. And I told Stitch Duran this. I interviewed, famous cut man, the GOAT, Stitch Duran, a few weeks ago. I told him the same thing. And the same thing both for you, Christy. Like I said, you were a true pioneer of the sport, one of the best to ever do it, not just with female boxing, but boxing in general. I don't think people realize how special you were, how many accomplishments that you actually had in your career. But you're also a champion outside of the ring as well, because you've also been through a lot in your personal life. And we'll get into that in a second. But first and foremost, what I wanted to do before we get started is I wanted to give my viewers a little bit of perspective of who I'm talking to here. Okay. Christy Martin, 49 wins in her career, 32 by knockout. And when I tell you they were knockouts, she was blasting females out, man. And I remember you telling me when I saw you at Caribbean one time, I said, damn, Christy, you used to blast these females out. And the first thing you said was, I did. I liked my job.
I loved my job. Loved my job. I still wake up thinking I can do it. And then I, have a cup of coffee and I'm like, nah, not today.
Nah, I hear you, man. I hear you. But so yeah, former WBC world champion and pioneer of the sport of boxing, female boxing in general. Like I said during my introduction, right now female boxing is popping. It wouldn't be popping if it wasn't for you and other female boxers that paved the way. Back in the '90s, I mentioned it. First female boxer, first female in the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. That was in 2016, and then it followed up with your induction into the National Boxing Hall of Fame in 2020. I believe Bernard Hopkins was also in that class, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Absolutely. Yes, it was a great honor to go in with B Hop after fighting on a few cards with him. We were both promoted by Don King at the time, and so it was really exciting. It was a great group in 2020. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we didn't get to have our ceremony until 2022, and then it was three classes at one time, and it took a little of the luster, I think. But hey, still being inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame is very special. And the first class, the first female that was going in, that's pretty special.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just recently in December, I saw you at the Caribbean Royale in Orlando during the WBA convention, and you were honored. You were honored by the WBA as a champion for life. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Let me tell you though. Let me just tell you what happened that night.
Hmm.
So I was in town to do some other stuff, actually trying to buy some property, and they called me and they said, you're here, would you mind coming into the ring and presenting Amanda Serrano an award? And I was like, oh wow, that'd be awesome. I have a lot of respect for her. I think it's great what she's doing, and she and Katie Taylor are like really lighting the fire into women's boxing again. And I'm so excited that I'm giving her an award. I get in the ring and they're giving me an award. So they were kind of slippery and sly
Wow.
about that, but it was all a big a surprise. Yeah, I was very appreciative. My relationship with Huberto Mendoza goes back into the '90s with Don King, and it was a great. Yeah, it still makes me, as you can see, really big smile. That was a great night.
Wow, that's awesome that they did that, man. They made that a surprise for you. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
That's a big deal. You know,
I had no idea.
yeah, man. And another thing too, I don't know if people realize how big it is to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, especially in the '90s. But you were on the cover of Sports Illustrated, which was absolutely phenomenal. You got books, a documentary, and an upcoming biopic that's in production now, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is finished. We're in the editing phase.
Nice. You're almost at the finish line. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, and then obviously you have a charity called Christy's Champs, which we want you to kind of detail later on because I think that's extremely a big deal. We got my brother Wax in the building, legend. You got it. That's right. We got my man Ryan Frazier from Boxing Talk up north. If you're not following Ryan, make sure you follow him. He's doing it up in Canada. Even he knows the deal, Christy. And and you even got non-boxing fans. So Liz Rosado is not really a boxing fan. She didn't watch much boxing growing up, but she remembers who you are. True legend.
Well, I was the appetizer for Mike Tyson. Of course,
That's a
lots of
big
people,
deal.
a lot of people got to see me that would have never seen women's boxing or for sure ever seen Christy Martin had it not been for Mike Tyson and those huge, huge cards that were promoted by Don King.
Yeah, yeah. Like I told you when I met you the first time at Caribbean, and shout out to you because, like I said, you're a very very nice lady. You spoke to me. We took a picture together, and that was a true honor for me. Because, like I told you one time, I think I told you one time, I said when people ask me who my favorite fighters are of all time, you're in that list because you were popping in the '90s, and that's when boxing was boxing, man. True boxing. That was the true era of boxing. I don't care what anybody says. Convince me otherwise. You were on the undercard when Mike Tyson was fighting. I think you won the undercard of Julio Cesar Chavez,
Come on, absolutely.
Trinidad,
One of
Cotto.
the greatest Mexican fighter of all time, Chavez Senior, and then with Trinidad, I fought on cards with Tommy Hearns. I fought on cards with Roberto Duran. I mean, are you kidding me? Being promoted by Don King, you get you get to fight with the greatest of the great.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is a couple of pictures of Christy's fighting days, right? The one all the way here on the bottom right, where you're with the title. The one all the way on the top left, you're actually fighting against your other half.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's still a sore subject, but and I try to run from it whenever I can. But since she's not here and I'm sure she's not listening, we can talk about it if you want.
Oh, listen. I seen you guys together. Oops, I'm sorry. I seen you guys together, man, and you guys couldn't be happier. Couldn't have make a better couple. I see you guys all the time, along with little Champ, the little dog.
Yes.
Who goes
He's
everywhere.
right here beside me. We're getting a belly rub.
I'm sure he was right. I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, where is Champ?
Yeah.
Because he's probably right next to you. He's the cutest thing. We have 2 dogs of our own, so every time I see Champ, I always try to show Champ a little bit of love. But I don't think Champ likes me very much. He barked at me one time.
Did he?
I
You
think I was
probably he
getting
probably
close
thought
to you.
you must have had a treat. You must have had some food in your pocket.
Either that or he thought I was getting too close to you. He's like, dude, you got to back up. But anyhow, so let's go. Let's get right into it because, like I said, you've put together a Hall of Fame career, but I'm really, really curious to find out where it all started, Christy. Where, how did Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter, by the way, which was your nickname, your boxing nickname? How did that start? I mean, it's a female wanting to fight. Did that start at a young age? Talk to me.
Yeah, yeah, never. I mean, I didn't grow up thinking I want to be a professional fighter. I didn't even know that women actually did boxing. Um, but here in Southern West Virginia, the tough man contest is really popular. So it's 3 1-minute rounds. You wear 16-ounce gloves, a headgear. People just off the street go and fight each other. And it's of course at the time it was all men. Um, just that really were like barroom kind of guys fighting. And I kept telling the promoter, I'm like, why don't you have women? And why did I even think this? I had never seen a woman fight. So why did I think this was a good idea? Or why did I even think this was a possibility? So finally, the promoter put in a women's division, and I'm right there signing up. I'm in college at the time. And I don't know. I don't even know why I thought it was a good idea, but I thought it was a good idea. I loved it. And then when I actually had the fights, um, the first fight was really pretty close, and it was against a classmate that I had classes with over at Concord College, and then the third night I knocked out this girl, this big girl, like really big muscles, big weight. Everybody's tall. She was just a big girl, and I knocked her out with one punch. I had never been in a boxing gym before, but I knocked this girl out, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love this! This was so exciting. The adrenaline rush was like the best drug ever, and the crowd's going nuts." And at those times, back in the '90s, that would be like 5,000 people there. That's a lot of people for a
That's a
tough
lot
man
of people.
contest or for just like a club show kind of thing.
Correct.
So yeah, they're going nuts, and I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. So I couldn't wait for it to come back the next year, and I'm ready to sign up for the next year. And I did that like 3 times, and then I got a call from a promoter down in Bristol, Tennessee. Hey, will you come and fight my girl? Well, a pro fight. And I thought,
Mhm.
well, I don't know. I mean, I'm in college. I'm playing college basketball. Do I really want to go do this? And then finally I was like, yeah, you know what? It'll be a great story. When I'm 40, 50, I can tell people, guess what? One night I did this real fight. And so I go down there not knowing anything about the business of boxing. Like when you go to fight the promoter's girl, probably you're not gonna win. And
Mhm.
so I go down there to Bristol, Tennessee. I knocked her down, beat the shit out of her for 4 rounds, and got a draw. And I'm like, oh my god! So that was like my first lesson in boxing, and and then I'm like, oh wow, well, I didn't win, I didn't lose. Maybe I should do it again. So just like the next month, I think they had me do a rematch with her, and I knocked her out. And then I was like, "Oh my god, this is really awesome. They're paying me to do this." Of course, I got paid like $300.
Right.
What's really is that really paying me? I don't know. But at the time, I'm in college, 300, 500. It's a lot of money. And then just one thing led to another, and end up having a real trainer, being in a real gym, being promoted by Don King. Everything just went. It took time, but it went to the
Wow.
sky.
That's incredible. I thought you were gonna tell me like maybe you grew up with brothers or something like that, and you always fighting with your brothers, or maybe you fought in school. But that's kind of crazy how you just kind of by accident deal.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I never I my degree's in education. I thought I was gonna be teaching school and, maybe, like, coaching basketball. That's what I played basketball, so I thought that's what I really thought I was gonna do. I wasn't 100% sold on like, that's not what I really wanted to do, but that's what I thought I was gonna do. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I was gonna be a professional boxer on the cover of Sports Illustrated, fighting in Madison Square Garden for Don King and doing all the most awesome things that I did in my career.
I had to end that with an air horn. Shout out to you. And this was what age again? Did you start the tough man stuff?
I was
I was
18.
18.
18, yeah.
So
Yep.
that's fascinating to me. I didn't know that because, like I said, it wasn't like you wanted to turn pro. It was almost like they asked you and you were like, screw it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 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 I never thought about like I said, I'd never even seen a woman fight, so I didn't know that it was like a job. I didn't know it was a career. I didn't know it was, I didn't know it was an option. Not that I don't think that I would have ever thought that's the option I would have chosen. Um, but one thing led to another, and then, one day I find myself in Don King's office.
Amazing story. I was going to ask you about that before, but before you do that, you answered one of my questions because I was going to ask you a little bit was what would you be doing if you weren't boxing? And you just said that you would probably be a school teacher.
Yes. I don't know. I mean, that's my degree, and I don't mean that bad, but I really coaching would have been a true passion, a true love, something I would have given my all, my heart, my soul to, and really would have loved. Actually teaching and being in the classroom every day, that really wasn't what I was built for.
No, I think you made the right choice when it was all said and done. So everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer that everything in life happens for a reason. Now, so you loved it, right? It was a total rush in the beginning. You were knocking females out. How long did it take before this whole visit to Don King's office come about?
So I turned pro in 1989.
Okay.
And then I went to Don King's office in, 1993, at the
Okay.
end of '93. My first fight with Don King was January of '94. The first fight that happened at the MGM Grand, I came at the perfect time. The
Wow.
first fight that ever happened at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. It was, a night of 4 great title fights, one of
Was
them
that
being
was that Julio?
Chavez Randall,
Okay, I was about to say it had to be Julio Cesar Chavez. If I didn't remember his opponent though, but
Frankie Randall.
was it the first loss? His
Yes,
loss? It was that one. Wow, God,
yes.
you
And
were on
then
that legendary card.
yeah, Terry Norris was on the card, uh, Jesse James Leha versus Azuma Nelson. I think Terry Norris was fighting Simon Brown, and there was one other fight on there that right now is escaping my mind, but
But do you hear what you just said right now? The type of cards that they were putting
oh,
together back in those days. I mean, great fighters fighting against other great fighters. Zuma Nelson against Jesse James Leha was legendary.
look,
You
and
know,
DK would do like 15 fights, maybe 20, like 15 fights, and there would be world champions fighting, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 'Cause that's all he had. He only had champions, and
hmm
those champions were fighting other champions even at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and to be part of that and to learn that side of boxing and to be exposed to that side of boxing, to walk through the MGM Grand, on the night that Chavez is fighting, walk through on a night that Mike Tyson is fighting. I've never felt anything like that electricity like on a Tyson fight, never. And I have been to, I've been to Canelo fights, I've been to Floyd fights, I've been to a lot of fights, and it may be because I was involved in that show and I felt it differently, but I just, I don't feel that same
I
kind of
get it.
rush happening with the crowds.
No, Tyson fights were a spectacle. I mean, because
Oh,
even though people knew that they weren't probably going to last long, you still got you still got your money's worth with all the fights on the undercard. Because like you said, Don King put together some great undercards, including yourself. Because he put you right where you needed to be because you were very, very exciting and you were a crowd pleaser and you fought. I mean, I remember my memories of you with bloody noses, but you're knocking females out. Like, it's like crazy. Like, there was no running in Christy Martin's game. She just want to go in there and blast females out. And as boxing fans, obviously, we want to be entertained. That shit was entertaining. I ain't gonna lie.
right.
I fell in love with it. But tell me about so Don King is a polarizing figure. I mean, an icon. Like, how was your relationship with him? How did that work out? Because there's also a lot of stories about him behind the scenes, obviously. But what was your relationship with Don King?
So my relationship with DK was, it was a fighter promoter kind of relationship. Like, meaning hot and cold. Some
Mm,
days when everything is good. Some days when everything isn't so good, hey, there's somebody else out there that's better than you, and if you don't want this deal, I can go get that person. Um, but even today, I'm commentating for DK shows. I have a champion signed with him, Johnny Langston. Um, we're still working together. I haven't talked to him in a while. I know that he was very happy that Trump was reelected in the inauguration. He was at the inauguration yesterday. Um, so I'm sure I'll be talking to him soon and telling him, congratulations, and that was great to see him, and blah 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 blah. But he's Don King. He's a legend. He's an icon. He's the best that ever did it, and he created me. He gave me an opportunity that no other promoter would give me. So I owe everything really to Don King and Mike Tyson. I mean, all there's a whole group. I mean, Mike Tyson he could have shut it down at any time. All that he had to do was tell DK, I don't want her on my shows. Do you think DK's gonna put me on if Tyson says no, I don't want her on? No. Jay Larkin, who was at Showtime at the time, very
I remember.
supportive.
Mhm.
So I was just lucky. Even Dennis Frenfrock was at the MGM Grand way back in the day when we first started, and great support and a lot of great turns. And I think I just tried to be appreciative, show everybody how appreciative I was that they gave me an opportunity. And then when I crawled through those ropes, I had all of them on my shoulders, and like I can't let these people down. Look at this wonderful opportunity that Don King's given me. Jay Larkin and Showtime's putting me on Showtime. Mike Tyson's allowing me to be part of this card as well. There was so many people that I couldn't let down that I just oh my gosh, I took all that pressure, but that pressure made me perform. Like I felt like I had to punch bell to bell and I had to be exciting. And you know what? I didn't care if I got hit hard. I wanted to hit you harder. So I just loved it. I loved it. Listen to me. I'm starting to get excited. I'm
I
like, let
can
me let
tell.
me call up Clarissa
Can hear the
Shields so we
passion.
can fight.
I can hear the passion in your voice.
Right.
And we as fans, we loved it too. My man Eddie Alvarez is in the building, true pioneer of women's boxing. Absolutely, man. Salute to you, Eddie. Superwoman 607, such an honor to be here, legend in the house. Absolutely. We got LDL TV live on the 29th, 1994, opens the MGM Grand, Chavez versus Randall. That's right. Katie, I'm sorry, Christy just refreshed my memory.
Oh
Camacho
yes.
versus,
Oh,
versus
Camacho.
Trinidad was on that card. Was it?
No,
I don't know if it was that card.
no. Was it that
Mm,
card?
no, but you probably fought on that undercard, right?
No, I didn't.
You
And I
did.
didn't. And was it? Oh, no, come on, how did I miss that card? No, it wasn't on that card. Camacho
I do remember
Trinidad.
that card back in the day. I don't know if that was on the same card, but
Oh, yes, I was on that card. I was on that
you were.
card. I was.
We fought so many times you even forgot, right?
I was. I forget sometimes. I got hit a lot. I had a stroke. I have a lot of excuses. I'm 60, almost 60 years old. I have a list of excuses.
You're good, and look how sharp you are. How long you've been there. So no, you're good, you're good. But any crazy, funny Don King or Mike Tyson story that stands out?
I mean, um, I just been very appreciative really of Mike Tyson and it came on my documentary. and that was awesome. DK is DK, and I still, like, when I talk to him, I still get excited when I hang up the phone. I'm like, and he's 93 years old. This man is 93 years old and
Mhm.
still, getting on a plane and flying up to DC, and still trying to make fights happen. So hopefully, he gets one more great run, a champion of heavyweight or something comes his way, and we could promote some more big shows down there.
Shout out to him, like you said, he's probably the most popular, the best ever do it. Like I said, I don't think there's anybody that isn't. Even if you're not a boxing fan, people know who Don King is. You know,
It's amazing to me, if I do, and sometimes, you know what? I mean, he's 93. His prime is past and gone, and sometimes you talk to these young people, and you say something about Don King and they don't know who he is, and it's like, what? How can you not know who Don King is? Um, but that's why we need to get him a champion. We need to get him back out there because he is the best that's ever done it.
I hear that. Shout out to Don King. You had a lot of big names on your resume, um, including Holly Holm, Layla Ali, Mia St. John. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, the list goes on and on. But who was your toughest opponent?
You know what? Overall, everybody brought their A+ game when they fought me, but I think my toughest opponent was always me because no matter win, lose, or draw, I didn't. I found faults, and I never thought, wow, like I'm all this in a bag of chips. I never thought that. I always saw my faults and saw how I could do better, and it was like really important. Okay, I mean, I didn't hold my hands up as well as I should have, but some things are just never going to change. But I always try to improve every time out. Let me get a little better at this, a little better. And I felt like really at the end, the fight with Lisa in '01, and which was my last fight with Don King, I felt like I really, that was probably like fight maybe number 50 or something, 52. I was just getting enough experience to really becoming a good fighter. Um, and that was when my contract ended with King. It didn't get re-signed for whatever reason. So kind of my career almost ended, really, in some ways right there.
Right.
I didn't get as excited anymore. Even fighting Layla Ali, the excitement wasn't the same. It wasn't the same not being promoted by Don King.
Something was missing, right?
Right. It
Yeah,
was. I mean, and obviously with the fight with Layla, we sold out the Coliseum down in Biloxi. They actually had to add seats the day of the fight. It was big. It was huge.
amazing.
Um, but there was just something missing. There was just a little something missing.
No, I can definitely respect that. I can definitely respect that. And I am here with the legend, Hall of Famer Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter. And again, if you have not smashed that like button, make sure you do that and subscribe to the channel. So, Champ, tell me how the whole Sports Illustrated cover thing came about, because that's a big deal. And
It
for
was a
those of you
huge
guys that
deal.
did not see it, this was in April of 1996. I mean, this was big time. So, how did that come about?
Well, first of all, let's talk about that. So, like in 1996, you actually could still go to a magazine store, buy magazines out the rack. Everybody didn't just look at this online. You actually turned pages and held a magazine in your hand. So it was a really big deal to be on the cover of any magazine, but Sports Illustrated was like elite. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's a crazy story because originally it was just going to be a regional piece. I didn't even know that Sports Illustrated just did what we get on the East Coast might be different than what we get on the West Coast in some of the regional articles. So it goes from the regional piece to it's going to be a feature story. And then we had the fight with Gogarty on the undercard of Tyson Bruno. And they called me and they said, Christy, if no one dies or no one does anything crazy, you're going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And I'm like, oh my God, you have to be kidding me. And so like every morning I'm getting up, turn on Sports Center to see if everybody's still alive and if anyone's done anything totally crazy that they're going to get bumped up to the cover. So we held on and got to be on the cover. It's awesome. I remember I was in Argentina. I think it was Argentina and walked by a little magazine stand on the street, and there's the cover. There's the Sports Illustrated, and I'm like, oh my god, this is too cool.
That's amazing. Like I said, that's a super big deal. And you're right. That was when magazines were popping. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it was a big deal. It was now it's like if you tell someone you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated, they're like, "What?" Like
It's
I don't even think they know what Sports Illustrated magazine is.
was the most popular sports magazine back then. But you're right. Yeah,
Right.
you're right. Because I don't remember the last time I actually picked up a copy of that. It's got to be like when I'm in the doctor's office or something, and they have them there, and I just take a peek at it. But I haven't bought one in God knows how long.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. It's just like anything else, you know. Even boxing, the sport itself, it's changed. You know, I mean, it's just not different, you know, than it was, you know, back in the days. That had to be one of the most proudest moments. One of the questions I was going to ask you was one of your most proudest moments of your career. That's got to be one of them, right? Making the cover.
Absolutely. Being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I was in 1996. I was the Grand Marshal for the International Boxing Hall of Fame induction ceremony weekend. Um, so those two things, and fighting in Madison Square Garden, those are like the three highlights. I mean, I have a list. You know,
Hmm.
getting a WBC belt and befriending Jose Suleiman, fighting on Julio Cesar Chavez cards. He's my favorite fighter. He and Mike Tyson. So fighting with those two guys, uh, I, I have a whole lot of number ones. You know, there's a whole lot of things that are just the coolest thing in my career. I can't even put them in an order.
That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to Miles Austin, hard work and dedication. I think I played that one already. Pristine Sports Network is checking in from the Boxing Voice. I appreciate you, champ. Alexa, I appreciate you as well. But you know, I got to be honest. I mean, you've been through a lot of tough fights in your boxing career, man. But I don't think any of them was toughest than what you've been through in your personal life. You know, a lot going on there. For my viewers, if you have not, you know, did some research. I mean, Christy is here, but you know, she survived a near death experience, and that had to be one of the hardest things that you ever had to go through in your life. How did you pull through that, Christy? I mean, that was crazy.
You know, as I do a lot of speaking engagements now, and so anyone out there that wants to have me come speak at one of their organizations, please hook me up. Look me up, ChristyMartin.net or Christy'sChamps.org. You could get me. We'll be happy to come to domestic violence events, schools, jails. I go every place. Any place that somebody will let me talk about domestic violence, I'm ready to go. And as I talk, I always tell everybody, you know, I have a lot of titles. You know, I'm daughter, sister, all these things, world champion boxer, college graduate. But honest to God, the title I'm the most proud of is I'm a domestic violence survivor. You know, my ex
True.
husband, who was my trainer, shot me, stabbed me, cut me up, and left me for dead. Literally left me for dead. And by the grace of God, I was able to get up and get out of my house, and you know, here I am, still doing it, you know, and not gonna let anyone beat me down.
That's crazy, man. Like I said, when that happened, I mean, it was shocking. Like I said, I mean, people aren't supposed to survive something like that, but for the grace of God, you did, and that's what I'm saying. You were a champion in the ring, but a champion outside of the ring as well. Um, that you know, I remember that, and it was chilling for me, and I'm so happy that you obviously pulled through on that. But the crazy part about that is not only did you pull through, but you continued to fight after that. Like I think you were out of the hospital in like what a week and a half or something like that, and you were right back in the gym from some of the things that I've read.
I went from the
Like
hospital.
who does that?
They told me that I had to leave the hospital like a little bit in the early afternoon one day, that they're discharging me. I'm like, I'm not leaving right now, but I'll leave in the middle of the night because you know, I still had some fear from Jim Martin, and even though he had just been found and arrested and all that stuff, I was still not ready. Yeah. So I left in the middle of the night, and I went the next morning to the boxing gym. I mean, I still had a bullet in my back. I don't even know how many stitches it took to stitch up my leg, where he cut my calf almost completely away from my body. Um, but that's where I wanted to be. That's where I needed to be, in the ring.
Is
And
that
so,
where you felt most safe?
absolutely. I mean, that was where I was in control. I felt like I called the shots in the ring. So I wanted to be back there, and yeah, I remember just shadow boxing and just thinking that, wow, wow, I'm here. I'm alive. I lived through this. And that was the thing that in my mind I either had to live through whatever he was going to do to me or die. And at the time I was ready for whichever way came. If it was life or death, I was ready. But what he didn't count on was halfway through the attack, that attitude was going to change, and it did change. And it went from I don't care if I live or die to no, you cannot kill me. I am not going to die, not today.
The
And
fighter,
and
the
here I
champion
am.
fighter in you.
Here I am. So, God is good. God, like I say, God had a plan. I made a deal with God in the hotel, in the hospital, not the hotel, the hospital, and said, just if you let me live, you let me get out of here, I'm gonna help other people that are in these kind of crazy situations that I was in. Um, and in my mind, I was like, if I help one person through the rest of my life, I will have done my job. And then I was like, no, that's the easy way out if you help one person. So my thing is I need to help one person every day for the rest of my life. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work with Christy's Champs, get out there and speak to people, just keep more and more people becoming aware of domestic violence, and that domestic violence doesn't always mean bruises. Domestic violence comes in many shapes and sizes and forms, and financial, verbal, sexual. There's so many things. Just control, and like the mental games, that manipulation. There goes on and on and on. So I just want people to be more aware of their sister's situation, their brother's situation, their mother, their father, whomever, because it goes both ways. It's not just happening to men versus women. It can happen. Women can also be violent against men as well. It's harder for men to step up and say, "Hey, my wife is, whether it's be physically or financially or anyway abusing me." I know that, and that's
Verbally,
why I want
verbally.
more and more people to talk about it, and so that more, whether it be men or women, will start to stand up and say, "No, I'm not taking this anymore."
Listen, it's an incredible story. I just want to tell you that for I love you for being so courageous and just being who you are, a fighter. For my viewers, this is Christie's champs. This is her website for the charity. Please check it out. The email. It's there. I mean, the website is there. www.christieschamp.org, and make sure you check that out. Make a donation. I'll be checking that out after this as well. I want to do my part to contribute. So make sure my viewers, y'all show up, man. Y'all show up for Christy, and again, like I said, Christy, that's a courageous story. I'm glad that he was able to go away, and in fact, now he's away for good.
He's away for good.
He's away for good because he just died recently, right?
Absolutely, almost to the day that he shot me. He shot me on November 23rd, 2010, and he died on November 26th, 2024. So, yeah, almost to the day that he spent a good solid 14 years in prison, and being told what to do and how to do it, and who to do it to. So I'm sure it was very interesting, and a tough time for him. I hope it was tough. I hope it was tough.
I agree. I hope it was, and I'm glad. I'm again. I'm not a bad person by any way, but something like that. No, I'm glad he got what he deserved, and he never got to see freedom again.
Yeah.
And again, shout out to you. Shout out to you for sharing that as well. I know that's got to be always tough, to be able to bring that up. But I did want my viewers to hear that because that's super super inspiring, and hopefully, we could get some of my viewers out there to get you to come on and do some of these motivational talks and stuff like that and visits, because you have a wealth of knowledge that you'll be able to share with obviously victims out there that maybe do not want to speak up or do not want to admit that they are going through any type of domestic violence situation. So again, I'm going to put this up one more time. This is Christie's Champs. This is her charity organization. Definitely check it out and do
And
your
one of the things that we do, Johnny, we're putting, and I know people are always like, how does boxing and domestic violence fit together? They fit together so well because most of the kids, and that's really where we had to break the cycle. Most of the kids that are going into boxing gyms, they're not coming from a home that everything is peaches and cream. They're coming from a home that there's some dysfunction there. So one of the things we do is we put computers in these gyms, and we've had some really great stories come back. One being that one of the kids didn't have a computer at home, didn't have access to a computer, so he actually filled out his college application on the computer that we bought in the gym. That made me so proud.
Amazing.
But we get all kinds of stories back. We sometimes put computers in domestic violence shelters that need computers, but that's kind of like, I don't know. I guess everybody has their thing, and I feel like let's give people an outlet. And if it takes a laptop, a computer, somewhere that they can reach out, and with that, they can reach out to different domestic violence centers, or someone finding out where they can help, or Christy's Champs. They can email me or message me some way, and I will do my very best to get them help and get them what they might need.
Shout out to you, Christy. Man. So let's pivot a little bit and talk about the Hall of Fame. How was it? How special was it to be inducted to the Hall of Fame? And how was that feeling when you got that call?
So it was really awesome. It was mixed emotions. I just was like, I can't believe it. It was, do it. Then I'm like, do I really deserve it? And yeah, it was awesome though. And then when we didn't get to have it in 2020, so I got the call. I think they called us in January, and then it didn't happen in June, and then my baby brother passed in November. So he knew that I got inducted, but he passed before the ceremony ever happened, and that hurts my heart. That one hurts my heart. But it was a great honor, and I remembered in my speech that day was very short. And I talked about in
Like your fight.
1996
Like your
when I
fight.
was right, in 1996 when I was the grand marshal, and that was a year Emanuel Stewart was inducted, Aaron Pryor was inducted, and can't right now. I can't remember some of the other people there, but I mean, like all the legends, all these great legends. Archie Moore was there, and I remember when I got to speak, I said, hopefully one of these days, all of these brothers behind me will have a sister, and I hope to be that sister. That's
Wow.
what I had said in 1996. So that's what I said when I got to speak in when it was 20 we do it 2022. We actually got to have the ceremony.
Mhm.
So it just seemed fitting that that wow, my dream. That was kind of like talking about a dream. This will be my dream to come true, and then here I am. I get to talk about my dream did come true. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome and well deserved. So congratulations on that. But you're doing big things now after your career's over. Now you've transformed from the fighter to the promoter, right? So now you're taking a stab at the promotion business. Christy Martin Promotions is alive and well. Actually, that's the first time that I met you in Caribbean, because you had one of your fighters that was fighting on there, Tony Aguilar. Shout out to my boy Tony Aguilar, who is a lightweight prospect up and coming, who fights under the banner. But how did that whole thing start?
You know, I after being shot and stabbed and really my career being done, I had a stroke at the end of my career. Um, I thought I want to stay in boxing, but how do I stay in boxing? I didn't really want to be a trainer because I don't think people want to work as hard as like I work. So it was hard for me,
You
and
know, I
I
hear
tried. I
I hear
tried. I
that
went.
a lot. Like I hear
Yeah.
that from athletes a lot. Like even Michael Jordan said, one day he would want to coach because, I mean, come on,
Right.
the way I push myself. I mean, you can't do that nowadays to these athletes. I mean, they're
No.
just built that way. So you didn't
Right.
want to coach. So then you decided maybe I give this a stab. Is this something that you said I'm going to give it a try, or you were like, how did that? Yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So it was like in 2015 or 2016. I was in Charlotte, and thought, let me just give it a try. I actually sold a building that I had in Florida. So I had this money. I certainly wish I said not had this thought, then I would still have that money. But because the first show I did, I lost like $22,000. And
Mhm.
I'm like,
So
oh
that's life of
shit.
a promoter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
People
sucked,
don't
but,
realize that.
you definitely learn. I mean, how else do you learn, I guess? You go out there and do it. It's just better if you can do it with other people's money and not your own. And that's what DK said, OPM, other people's money, baby. You gotta work with somebody else's stuff, not yours.
For sure.
Um, but yeah, but I've just gone on and on. We did a lot of shows in Charlotte, did some shows in Myrtle Beach, and done some shows down in Florida. And hopefully before um maybe the second part of this year, I'll be back. Christy Martin Promotions doing some shows. We have some stuff going with a couple casinos out here. Well, not out here. I'm in West Virginia now, but in Texas we have some casino deals we're trying to work out. So hopefully one of those come through, and we'll be able to put. I mean, we have some great fighters. Tony Aguilar is a very he's a Mexican. Come on, man. Mexican warrior.
Shout out to
Uh,
Tony.
Always exciting. He's actually moving down to 130 pounds. So that's gonna help. I think that's gonna help his strength. Um, we have Victor Hernandez, who's a 126 pounder. He
Yep.
has the NABA Continental Americas title. We have Kimon Evans, who's getting ready to fight up in Detroit. Actually, they moved the fight from Philly to Detroit. He's getting ready to fight up there in a couple of weeks. Junior Pizzotti at like little 115, have a little 105. Alpo. So I have a lot of guys, a lot of weights, and we're just trying to keep everybody busy and put everybody in a place where we can put those belts around their waist, and not the belts you buy at Walmart. I want like the real belts. I'm pretty much one of those that there's three, and the BO. I guess I just haven't. I don't know those people yet. But the BC, the BA, the IBF, those are to me now the WBO, the main guys, and those are the titles we want to get around our guys' waist.
That's dope. That's dope. Like I said, I mean, you're doing it up. You're doing it up right now. You have a nice young stable of fighters, and it seems like you're comfortable. You're comfortable at it now, right? Because I'm sure, like you said, there was some growing pains, but
Oh my gosh, yeah,
being a promoter is totally different than being a fighter.
it's really hard. It's really hard, but I keep going back. Like sometimes I want to train the guys. Like I want to tell them, no, this is the way you need to do this, and I will put a small opinion in. But I just keep thinking back to, would DK pick up the phone and call and say, Christy, are you running 7 miles? Are you running 5 miles? Are you running 3 miles? No, he don't give a shit. He just means when I show up on fight night, I better be ready to fight, and I better put on a good show. And that's on me. And that's how I try to let the fighters come to me, come in shape, come ready to put on a good show, and let's rock the house. But sometimes it's hard to keep my mouth closed.
So hopefully, yeah, hopefully, hopefully, I can get some of your fighters on in the future on the channel, and I definitely want to be able to work some of the cards, some of your cards that you put together at some point down the road. I did have Tony Aguilar on last year. He was actually my first fighter interview. I wasn't even doing lives yet, so we just hit the record button and we just went at it. And I remember him saying at one point that when he first met you, he didn't realize how big you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, man, I didn't know she was as legendary as she was when I first met her. But he said that you kind of fell in love with his fighting style. How could you not, right? Like again, Mexican, like you said, the kid's a warrior. He comes to fight. So yeah, nothing but big things for your fighter with him. I didn't know he was going back down to 130. That might be a good move for him.
I think so, and it's only taken us about 5 years of talking to him about let's get to 130. But he came to me, and I came to his coach, to
Gotta
Ron,
make a
and said I'd
sacrifice.
like to go to 130. And you know what? It's always better when it's somebody else's idea, when it's his idea, right? When it's their idea, it's always going to be better. And that's the plan. We're going to probably fight. His next fight will be around 32, 33, and then looking to campaign at 130 when something really matters.
Good, good. I think the future is bright for him. Mike S. Christy is the OG. Absolutely. Mike S. Looking great, Christy.
Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, even my mom checked in to
There
check
you
you
go.
out.
Hey, Mom.
And she knows nothing about boxing, but she wanted she knew who you were.
Yeah,
Obviously.
awesome.
We used to hook up. We used to hook up in my mom's house for the pay-per-views. Tyson, everybody from the neighborhood used to come. We used to all watch it at our house. And again, when you came on, you had us, fighter now protect.
Nah, I don't. I'm not. That's exactly what I'm not. I
Yeah.
tell all these guys I'm a promoter, not a protector. Absolutely not.
Yep, yep, yep. Come out to us. Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, man, Mike. Yes, this is when back in them days. This is when boxing was boxing. Me and Christy had a conversation off the record, and we're like, today's fighters, man, they're not built the way they were back in the '90s, man. When they fought for legacy, they
Right.
weren't worried about fighting the best and losing, like it is today. So it's kind of frustrating. Alexa, wow, blessings to you. Yep, absolutely, blessings to her, baby girl. But
So
yeah, and
let me
shout out.
one thing you need to buy for your mother is Ron Borges. Remember Ron Borges, the Boston Globe, great sports writer or great boxing writer
Yeah,
and football. He did everything. He also did a lot of stuff on ESPN, HBO. He wrote the book. He wrote my book. So the book is available on available on Amazon. You can also get it through my website, I think right now, which is christymartin.net. I'm not
and
sure on that
and the book
because
is fighting
I'm
for
actually
survival,
sold
right?
out personally.
And the book is fighting for survival.
Yes.
Yep, that's the
Yes.
name of it. Fighting for survival. You obviously had a documentary as well, the Untold Deal with the Devil, right? That was on
Yes.
Netflix.
Yes.
And I think that was absolutely fabulous for my viewers. If you have not checked that out, make sure you check it out. Like I said, it doesn't get any more courageous than Christy Martin inside and outside the ring. And then now, you pop it. And I told Stitch this, right? I told Stitch this because they're making a documentary of his life. You popping when you got a biopic coming out. You know what I mean? Like you just told me that your biopic, which was in production, is almost at the final stages, right?
Right. It's actually in Australia. The director is from Australia,
So tell
David
me about
Mishcott, and
yeah.
he's editing right now.
So how did that come about? Did they come to you? Is this something that you've been in the works for a long time?
It's been in the works off and on for about 14 years actually.
Really?
Um So yeah, a long time, but everything is as they say, everything's the time as is the right time. Things happen at the right time, or it happened for a reason. Okay, so sometimes in the past it would seem like it was so close to happening, and then it will fall apart. But now, I mean, Sydney Sweeney is playing me. Are
I
you
saw
kidding
that.
me? That's
That's
and she did an awesome job. She went to the boxing gym, she trained, she busted her butt. Matt Biamonte was training her, down in Key West, actually.
okay.
So, yeah, she did a great job. Ben Foster played Jim Martin. I can't even put into words Ben Foster's portrayal of Jim Martin. It
Really?
was so real, it was scary. It was scary.
Wow.
I'm really anxious to see what people think about, you know, the movie as they see him and see what Ben Foster did. But everybody in the movie was really cool, and it was exciting. I mean, it was a big deal. Like I show up on the set and there's like
That's a big deal.
30 trucks. I mean, like big trucks and all these cables and lights and stuff happening. I'm like, oh my God, like this is just cool. And then I thought, oh my God, this is my movie. This is like my life. And so it was two oh my gods, it was like that first one was like, wow, this is really cool. Just been on a movie set. And then you have that second, oh my goodness, this is my movie. So it was, yeah, it was like double shock.
You popping when they making a movie of your life.
You know what? This is the movie that I think is gonna. I hope it's one of those movies that in 20 years, some dad's sitting down with his daughter saying, "This is exactly what I do not want to ever happen to you." And if you find yourself in this situation, please call me. Please do not stay one day in this situation when you shouldn't. Um, there's the domestic violence, there's a sexuality, there's to me overall it's the underdog story. I'm a coal miner's daughter from southern West Virginia. There's like that's where I am right now. I'm in West Virginia. There's probably like 700 people in my town,
Mhm.
in my little, it's not even a town, in my little part of the road. And so to get to the pinnacle of boxing and to be with those people like Don King and those guys, it's unbelievable. It doesn't happen to people from here.
No, that's crazy. How involved were you with like were you there constantly while they were filming? Did you have a lot of oversight on what you did want or didn't want, or how did that, like, how involved were you with that whole filming deal?
Yeah, I spent lots of time talking to Mara Fox, who was the writer, and then I was on and off the set. Um, I had other commitments, so I I was there as much as I could be. I think, yeah. I mean, they let me come when I wanted. There were a couple scenes that they kind of suggested that I didn't come, that they thought it would be hard on me and the
Mhm.
actors. So, which was really understandable.
Yeah, that's super. Yeah, that's understandable, compassionate on their end. Do you have a estimated of when we plan on seeing this movie?
I think we're hoping the end of this year, like
Okay.
the holiday season, I guess, is movie time,
Hmm.
big movie time. So that's what they're hoping for.
They just did Clarissa's movie this Christmas, so hopefully Christmas time. That would be pretty dope. I think you deserve it.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. They haven't thought of a name though yet, right?
So far, as far as I know, and I did ask them, would they please let me know? It's untitled.
It's untitled. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But I can't wait. I promise you, I will be there to see that movie. Like I said, you're a true icon. You're one of my idols, so I will be there. But you got Christy is a legend, opened up a lot of doors. Absolutely. My
Thank
man
you.
Hernan in the building, Frank Fuentes, legend. Yes, sir, she is, which kind of leads me into this final segue because I know I've had you on for a while now, but it's hard for me to let you go. You know, like I said, it's not every day that you speak to a true icon of the sport, but female boxing right now is crazy, right? It is so popular. And of course, we owe it all to the fighters that are in the ring that are putting their lives on the line. The Amanda Serranos, the Katie Taylors. I mean, another fight of the year that they produced, Clarissa Shields, Fran Chong Cruz. I mean, you name it. Female boxing right now is popping. They're not afraid to put it all on the line, to unify. And you were a true pioneer. You started that, like we said earlier. How do you see female boxing? Like, how proud you are of the way it is today?
I think it's really awesome, and the further I get away from my career, I think the prouder I get, and the more that I feel like I did have an impact um, during my career. I've 100% felt like I have to fight for me because just carrying the whole flag for women's boxing was too much, and I felt like I'm in the ring. Every time I go in the ring, I'm promoting women's boxing. So you know, I I made a lot of enemies, but I was just trying to fight hard. I just wanted to fit in. You know what? I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to be a fighter. I 100% just wanted people to say, I wanted to leave that Tyson fight. Wow, Christy Martin was a good fighter. Not Christy Martin was a good female fighter or a good woman fighter. She was a good fighter. That was my goal. Um, Women's boxing today, I think, they're getting great exposure, great money. But again, and it's just like the guys, it's just a handful of the women fighters that are getting this big money and big exposure. Just a handful. But it's the same thing with the guys. So I don't know that it's any different. The women's boxing pool is still pretty shallow. But there's a lot of females doing amateur boxing, which is cool, and hopefully some of those will continue on and become professionals. Um, yeah, it's the money that Amanda and Katie Taylor have made fighting each other.
Crazy.
Um, Kudos to them. I mean,
Absolutely.
look, I can't hate on anybody that's getting paid. You got to figure out how to get paid. Good for you. And those two, they're bringing it. I mean, they deserve. They sold out Madison Square Garden. They deserve to get paid. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm sure. I know that Jake Paul and Mike Tyson brought hundreds of thousands of viewers, but a lot of people still tune in to see Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. They still had big people tuning in for those guys, those women. Um, so hey, I think we just have to keep getting personalities. Like like Amanda is a really strong personality. She's a good person, and she's confident. People can relate to her. I feel like people can relate to her, that she doesn't act like she's bigger than everybody else or more than everybody or this or that. She's just, I feel that she is just an average person, is the way that she wants people to perceive her, and that people can relate to her because of that. Um, we just need more and more of her.
No, listen, you nailed it because honestly, the fight that I was looking forward to the most in that Mike Tyson Jake Paul whole deal was Amanda versus Katie
Yeah,
part two because the first one was absolutely insane. It was incredible. And like you said, shout out to them. They sold out the big room, not the small room, the big room at
right.
the Garden, which is
Absolutely.
crazy. When you fought that, which
Yep.
is absolutely incredible. When I see those two fight against each other, it reminds me of you. Like, how would Christy, like, that's who she was. Like, a dream fight for me would be to see you against either one of those two, one after the other, probably.
And you know what? The whole truth is, had I been with their era, the three of us, I'm sure would have been in a great round robin. And you know what? Who cares who wins? Because we're all going to get paid, and we're all going to fight, and we're going to keep getting better, and we're going to put on a great show. That's what we don't have from the male fighters today. I mean, there's enough guys out there with names that could be like Durant and Leonard and Hack, those that era
Thank
that
you.
fought each other. But no, they're all afraid of losing their O. Who
Thank
who
you. Thank you.
cares?
Baby.
Go
Thank you.
fight. Get back on the horse and fight the next one in line. But it's not the same.
I say that all the time. Like, boxing is its own worst enemy because we do have the talent to have that era back if these guys just had. And I don't know. I'm not, again. You can't say a fighter is afraid. That's not going to exist. Obviously, you're a special person for you to get into the ring. I respect any fighter who laces it up and gets in the ring to risk their lives for our entertainment. But something isn't right. Like this, the view. It's not like they don't care about the legacy. Like you
Right.
said, beating the best. They just there's other things that they care about. But listen, I always hold out hope, man. I think this is, to me, it's the greatest sport in the world. It's a gladiator sport. I mean, you can't play boxing.
Right.
Like you can play some of the other sports. Obviously, it's mano a mano, fighter against fighter, which whether it's male or female, and it's it's special. But we got to get these fights popping. I got a couple of questions from the chat for you. Um, One of them is from Liz Rosado, who happens to be my wife actually. So she's like, I think I told you that earlier. What do you think about Jake Paul in boxing, and who would you like to see him fight?
I think that Jake Paul has figured it out. He's figured out how to get paid, and kudos to him. And it's
Can't
with
hate.
Jake Paul. To me, it's not so much about Jake Paul. It's about what Jake Paul is doing for the other boxers,
Mhm.
i.e., Amanda Serrano,
Namely,
uh,
this is correct.
Tony Aguilar, a guy like Tony Aguilar, my kid, getting huge exposure, fighting on the show with Jake Paul, but also fighting on MVP promotions. Um, and they're getting paid. So it's bigger than just Jake Paul the fighter. It's what he's doing for the other boxers. Um,
No, I get it.
I would like to see him fight a real fight. I don't know. Is
I said
that
the same thing, Christy. I think he's good for the sport because
yeah?
anything that anybody that helps grow the sport, right? Because he's putting more eyes on the sport. But I agree. I mean, you got to pick a side here. You either want to be a fighter and then start fighting some contenders, ranked
Right.
guys, or you want to be a guy that makes all this money fighting Tyson and all these other dudes that are way over the hill. I mean, which one is it? You know?
And you know what? I mean, it's business.
And if you want to be
We
that
love
guy,
our sport,
I'm not hating on
but
it.
it
I'm
is
not
a
hating on
business. So I think we're going to see him fight Chavez Jr. next. And
it.
that's
Hey,
just me. I mean, I don't talk to I don't know anybody in his promotion. I don't know anybody associated with him, but I know when we were at the Mike Perry fight and Chavez Jr. kind of last minute shows up on his undercard. I'm like, oh, perfect. Next opponent after Tyson.
Mhm. No, absolutely. And shout out to him, like you said. I mean, I actually worked that card when he fought Mike Perry, and Tony Aguilar was on that card as well. And it was Tampa was sold out, man.
Yeah.
You know, there were people there. They
And
come out.
the crazy thing about his fans, they don't wait until the main event to come. Their building was full early in the
Mhm.
night.
Oh yeah, I was there. I
So
was there, man. It was definitely popping. We got Toledo Treese in the house. What's up, my boxing voice brother? What are your suggestions for a movie title? And would you train a bare knuckle boxer?
I don't like bare knuckle boxing.
Mhm.
Um, I just think it's too brutal. I don't know. I just
Christy Martin is saying that bare knuckle fighting is brutal.
I think it's too brutal. Um, I really do. I don't want to see any. You know
And
what? I don't want to see people get hurt. I want to. No, this is my thing. Look, I want to knock you out, but I don't want you to be hurt. I just want you to be knocked out for a little while, and then you get up and everything is good. But I feel like I'm too worried about bare knuckle boxing. I think you might be getting hurt too bad. I don't know what the movie title. I don't know. I really I don't know. I don't know what a good title is.
Mm, I don't know.
Um,
Give me some thought. Maybe I'll throw a suggestion out there too. And if
yeah,
you decide to
I
stick, hey, I can say
yeah,
I helped with that title.
yeah. I don't know. I just keep waiting for them to come up with some. I thought they might like pass some ideas by me and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?" But I don't know.
Did you have a say so in the documentary title?
No.
They just
Yeah.
okay, and you were
No.
okay with it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
That was pretty fair.
yeah, well, yeah, they deserve absolutely the female all fighters. I mean, listen, I'm not knocking that they shouldn't get paid. I'm just like worry about getting to that point so that you can get paid. People are thinking about getting paid when they haven't really put the work in to get paid.
Absolutely.
Like people talk about Floyd's worth, and I get it, but Floyd put the work in. People are not looking at the journey to get to where he was
Right.
financially, and that's where I think the fighters are like, you know. Frankfurt, I tuned in for Amanda and Katie. I said that same thing. Um, do you think Toledo Treese is back? Do you think Turkey is the new Don King?
Oh, I don't know because I'm not involved enough with those guys over there. This is what I think about them, and again, I really don't know because I have no involvement at all, but they have so much money. They can just put together huge fights and it doesn't matter to them if they lose $10 million, at
Mhm.
$20 million. Who cares? That's nothing to them.
Right.
So that would make them different than Don King because Don King was in the business of making money, not losing money. So, but I do think they want to make the best fights. I do think they're trying to make at the best fights, the most competitive fights, the fights that fans want to see, and they're just throwing crazy money out there to make those fights.
Yeah. No, and they print money over there in Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia.
yeah.
So, they can afford to get all these fighters on a card. February 22nd, they got a big card. They got like 7 fights that could be main events on other separate cards, and they're charging the public here, the American public, $26, I believe,
Wow.
for a pay-per-view, which is listen, I'm not going to complain about that as a boxing fan. Who's your top current boxers pound for pound? They can't
I
ask
don't.
me that question because I got a ton of them. So I don't have a top 5. I got like a top 50.
Yeah, it's just different. I mean, if you're talking about actual fighters that are fighting right now, you almost I have to search because I like guys that are gonna fight and that want to fight on a consistent basis, not one time a year. I mean, I really like Tank's style. Tank,
Mhm.
he can be behind, but you always know he's got that one punch knockout power. I really would like to talk to Tank and say, hey, Tank, I need you to come over and help me with Christie's champs, and I need you to start. You know, let's make a difference. Let's help these young men become better men and understand how to become a better husband, a better boyfriend, a better whatever, a better brother, a better person. Um, and he doesn't realize probably how he can make that change. He can help so many people change by just his actions. So when they see him do something like hit his girlfriend, they think it's okay. Tank did it, so why can't I? Well,
Mhm.
Tank shouldn't have done it either. And those are the things. But I mean, as a fighter, I love his style, and I really hope that sometime I talk with Calvin Ford a lot. So hopefully, at some time maybe I'll cross paths with Tank. Teofimo is one of my very very favorite fighters.
I like
Again, just because his dog, he's a dog, and um, yeah, just those guys that want to fight. Danny Garcia, he'll fight anybody. You know what? He's like old school kind of guy.
Mhm.
I
What I'm
believe
with
even though he hasn't been as active lately for a while, but he is there any fight that he turned down or he didn't fight that we think, oh wow, he should have taken that fight? No,
Nah, man. These guys, they're not afraid of the smoke. That's for sure, man. Why don't you think we see more women trainers? Cy Pacino. Hmm.
because I think guys don't want to listen to a woman. You don't listen to your wife, so why would you listen to a female trainer?
I do. I listen to my
That
wife.
that that's me being a little bit of a wise ass, but, you know what? I think you want someone that you feel like at least I did and would, and I wish I would have had a better trainer, but, you want somebody that has experience. You want somebody that you feel like they've walked up those steps before, and I know not I mean, Angelo Dundee, Manuel Stewart, they didn't have actual fight, a lot of fight experience, but their trainings they were the best trainers out there. Um, but I think that you want to feel that your trainers felt that pain before.
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. That makes sense, which is why I'm surprised more people don't ask you why you haven't trained because you've been down that road. But you answered that question earlier. Like these
I
fighters ain't built like that no more.
no.
Yeah, yeah,
No
no,
one wants to work hard.
they're not
No one
ready.
wants to work hard. You know what they work hard at? They work hard at social media. Like, you know, let me make a new post.
Oh yeah, it's all about popularity, man. That's what
Yeah.
breeds fans and money. And if it gets done, Canelo versus Crawford, that's an interesting fight. What do you think about that one?
Size doesn't matter. Ask me against Layla Ali. Um,
Hmm.
uh, Crawford is a really, really great fighter. But Canelo is a big dude. And I think this will be just size. Canelo will be too big.
Yeah, no, it's skill wise, it's intriguing, but you're right. I mean, people don't realize that jumping up two weight classes to fight, arguably, the best 168-pounder unified champion who has a great chin and possesses great power. That's going to be a tough order for Crawford, but we'll see what happens. I mean, hey, listen, this is the thing. When fights like that happen, then you're going to hear, well, at least he's trying to, he's daring to be great.
Right.
I hope that's the reason why, and not just because you want that bag. But I believe Crawford. He's a dog, and I think that he wants to challenge himself before he probably calls it a career. But we'll see. We'll see if it's get made. I didn't think 2 years ago when they were talking about it, or a year and a half ago when they were talking about it would because of the weight difference. But it seems like when Turkey Yalashi gets involved, and it's gonna happen. So we will see. Have to perform, make a name for yourself better than yeah, absolutely. I mean, got to go out there and put the work in, Wax, and then the money will come.
Yep.
And that's what the fighters need to concentrate on the most. But Christy, this was absolutely amazing. This
Thank
really
you very
was.
much.
I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people so far, but this was one that I wanted to make happen because, like I said, how much I admire you. Um, you treat me with love at the fights, so I appreciate that. Um, but I got to get you back on one day, man. I got to, once you come to the hangout spot, you a family.
Look, let's do it. Let's do it, and we'll bring Tony and Vic and a couple of my other guys, and have a little round robin. And where are you? We're coming.
I'm in Florida.
Are you in Florida?
I'm in Florida.
Well, maybe we just come and hang out with you. Literally, hang out. Come to you.
My door is always welcome for you to come here to the hangout spot. We can do something live here. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it popping. We make it happen. I would like to have a couple of your guys in there. Let them talk about Christy Martin, the promoter, and how she gets on their ass and all this other stuff.
Yeah, they'll have stories.
They'll have stories, right?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Because I have said some bad stuff sometimes to them. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
can where can my viewers follow you on social media? Because you're on all platforms, right?
I'm everywhere. Christy Salters Martin on Facebook, Christy Martin Promotions, Christy's Champs, um, Facebook, Instagram, um, TikTok. I think we're on all those things. My new business. I forget what you call it. What I forget what John's new name is. Business manager. John Masunas he's really pushing it out there. The website's ChristyMartin.net, Christy'sChamps.org. We're gonna get better and busier, and again, anybody that would like for us to come and have us sit down, we can do Q&A, we can do anything that they would like to talk about domestic violence awareness, or whether it be just like the underdog, like, wow, how did you come from a coal miner's daughter in a little bitty town of 700 people and get to the, like I said, the pinnacle of boxing.
Mm, incredible. And like I said, it's an honor to have you on with me. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Shout out to John too, because I
A lot
sent
of
him the
fun.
link. Hopefully he was watching. I did send him the link. Hopefully he was watching. If not, you can check out the recording. Because I'm throwing this right out on YouTube after that. But like I said, champ, it's not. I mean, I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, and we will be back.
We will be back. You have to come back.
Cool, you got it.
So thank you again. Take care.
Good night.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All righty. So there you have it for my viewers, man. I mean, the great, legendary Christy Martin. Um, when it comes to boxing, and I'm not even going to say female boxing, I'm going to say boxing because the females deserve that respect. When Christy Martin was fighting in the 90s, boxing wasn't really it was a male dominated sport. And a lot of people would say it was more of a gimmick than anything else. And like I said, she put in the work. She was fighting on the undercards of great fighters like Mike Tyson, Julio Cesar Chavez, Felix Trinidad, Miguel Cotto. I mean, Don King, which will arguably go down as one of the greatest promoters ever, if not the greatest, definitely the most popular ever, in my opinion. I mean, she was doing it up. She was blasting females out. She was fighting. She was a true fighter. Didn't duck any smoke. Wanted to put it all on the line. Like I said, it didn't matter to her. It was all about legacy, and she became a champion in the ring. Obviously, you heard. I mean, she been through a lot in her life. Survived a near death experience due to domestic violence, and now she's an advocate for domestic violence. You saw her website, Christy Martin. I'm going to put it up one more time. Christy's Champs. Make sure you check it out. www.christyschamps.org. And I'm going to be checking that out, making a donation as well, because she was kind enough to give me the time to come on. And I love Christy. I love Christy. I mean, like I said, I've met her a bunch of times. We talk at the fights, and she always, shows me love. So I'm glad I was able to get her on. Like I said earlier, it's not every day that you get a true icon, of the sport on with you. So I am humbled. Hopefully she enjoyed it as much as I did. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And shout out to the chat, man. Shout out to the chat for keeping it alive. Like I said, smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend. This is how we do it up here at the Hangout Spot. 2025 is going to be huge. This is not the end. We're going to get Christy back. We're going to get some of her fighters back as well. So I look forward to what 2025 brings. If you have not subscribed to the Hangout Spot, make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend. That's the most important thing. We got to keep this train rolling. And if we need to, and if we want to turn it into a locomotive, we need more followers so that we can get the bigger names in 2025. But listen, I'm excited. I'm excited to have her on. But more or less, I'm also excited that the fights are going to start to happen again this Friday. We got Pro Box. Shout out to the Pro Box Eyes. Yours truly will be in the building for that card in Pro Box, Plant City, Florida. Nazi Lopez, undefeated light heavyweight prospect, will be in the main event. He is trained by Mark Ferre, who's my boy, who's also the trainer of the chosen one, Edgar Belanga. That's this Friday. And then Saturday, we got Diego Pacheco out in Vegas against Steven Nelson. That's going to be the headliner. You got Andy Cruz, Cuban Olympian, will be fighting in the co-main event against Omar Salcido, young Mexican warrior who was trained by Jose Benavides Sr. I was actually there at Pro Box when he defeated Chris Colbert. He's an exciting young fighter. That's going to be a good co-main event clash. So that's this weekend. And then we got a ton of other fights, which we will get into Thursday. On Thursday's show, we're going to get into some of the fights. some of the stuff that got announced, recently. I mean, we got Ryan Garcia. When I was with Norbs last week, when I was doing my show with Norbs, we were thinking that Ryan Garcia was going to fight Isaac Pitbull Cruz. It's going to be Rolly Romero, and that's going to be in New York City, most likely a main in the co-main event. As expected, will be Devin the Dream Haney against Jose Ramirez. And if they both win, then it's going to set up the rematch between the much anticipated rematch between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, more than likely in October. Turkey Al-Sheikh has gotten involved. He's throwing that bag. So if these guys win their tune-up fights in May, and none of these fights are easy. I mean, Jose Ramirez, yeah, I know he's not looked good the last couple of fights, but former world champion, and Devin Haney has not fought since that beatdown by Ryan Garcia in April. So it'll be interesting to see what type of Devin Haney we see. This fight, Ryan Garcia, he hasn't fought either because he's been suspended for Osterine. So this will be his comeback fight as well. So both of these guys, when it's all said and done in May, I believe that both of these fights are going to happen. I believe it's being rumored to happen in New York City. If that happens, obviously, they'd been out of the ring for over a year. So, if all goes well with them, they're going to squabble again in October, and that's going to be crazy because that's a much anticipated rematch. We also what happened the first time around, but the loss was taken away from Devin Haney's record because of the positive Osterine test by Ryan Garcia. And then we also have Boots Ennis and Stanionis. That was announced. Supposedly that's going to be happening in April sometime. I'm excited about that. Hopefully my man Brian Norman Jr., who is the WBO welterweight champion, I think hopefully he'll be fighting in March against Derek Cuevas. If he wins, whoever wins that fight between Boots and Stanionis, I expect a unification, next time out. So a lot of stuff popping in boxing. We'll get into that on Thursday's show at 9 p.m. But listen, man, yeah, I mean, I appreciate Eddie Alvarez. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, Wax. Thanks for joining me, man. Nah, listen, Four Corners, my man X is in the building. Awesome interview. Appreciate that. Appreciate you, Mom. Appreciate you, Alexa. You already know the deal. Smash that like button. Yeah, Eddie Alvarez, I'm up there too, man. So I remember all those legends as well. Now, I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. But again, I mean, it's not about me. It's about the people that I bring on. And she was an excellent, excellent interview. And a great person outside of the ring as well. LDL TV Live. Thanks for rocking out with me, man, and getting involved in the chat, man. I appreciate it. This is what we're going to do in 2025, man. We're going to have big names, prospects. We're going to have legends. We're going to have champions, contenders, prospects, man, trainers, cut man. I mean, I'm working on referees. Like, we are trying to get anybody who's anybody in the boxing community on the Hangout spot because this is where it's at in 2025. But at the end of the day, I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate the love and support. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you tune in on Thursday night, 9 p.m. It's going to be a banging show. If you're not following me on IG, make sure you follow me at the Hangout spot at IG. That's where I put my stories up. And that's also where I put the announcements of what we're going to go over topic-wise, guest-wise on my shows. So if you're not following me on IG, make sure you do that. But at the end of the day, as always, appreciate the love, appreciate the support. This is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout Spot Live, and I'll talk to everybody on Thursday.